Be Wealthy and Smart, episode 929.
Step into a world of wealth and financial freedom without budgets, boredom, or bosses on Be Wealthy and Smart. And now, here's your host, Linda P. Jones.
Welcome to Be Wealthy and Smart. I'm Linda P. Jones, America's Wealth Mentor, empowering women and men worldwide to financial freedom. On today's show, we're going to talk about the best and worst states for retirement in 2021. This was a study done by Bankrate. And I thought it was really interesting because they look at some different factors here and come up with a chart of affordability, wellness, culture, weather, and crime. And they consider all of these factors in a chart and then give each state an overall score and then rank them. So this was really interesting. I wanted to share it with you in case you're thinking about where to retire, not necessarily this year, but maybe in the future. This will give you an idea of what to consider and what the current status is of some of the states you might be considering. So this article was written by Jeff Ostrowski, and it says, retirement brings a slower pace of life. No more sweating work deadlines, playing office politics, or struggling to stay afloat in a city with a soul-crushing commute and a punitive cost of living. The end of your career also raises new questions about where and how to spend your days now that you're no longer tied to a specific location. Should you settle by the beach or in the mountains? Do you prefer golf or cross-country skiing? Perhaps most importantly, where do your kids, grandkids, friends, and healthcare providers live? Those are deeply personal questions. In an effort to find some objective answers to the where to retire question, Bankrate crunched a bevy of statistics on costs of living, public health, and other metrics. For this study, Bankrate looked at 5 broad categories: affordability, wellness, culture, weather, and crime. We acknowledge there's plenty of subjectivity in choosing a place to live in retirement. If you own a paid-off home in a high-cost area like Boston or San Francisco, maybe affordability isn't a priority for you. And of course, not everyone likes the sweltering summers of the Sun Belt states that populate the top of our rankings. According to Bankrate's study, Georgia is the best state to retire, followed by Florida, Tennessee, Missouri, and surprisingly, Massachusetts. Maryland, on the other hand, held last place in our ranking. The state was dragged down by a lack of affordability and by mediocre scores on culture and weather. Why should retirees pull the moving van off Interstate 75 and unpack in Georgia? Affordability is one big selling point. The state combines a low cost of living and a light tax burden to rank number 3 in affordability. Weather is another strong point. The state has an average annual temperature of 64 degrees, 5th warmest in the nation. Earthquakes are rare and tornado risk is about average. The one downside is hurricanes. Georgia's small coastline puts it at risk of tropical cyclones. Georgia places in the middle of the pack in our rankings of wellness and crime. The state's only weak spot is the culture category. The Peach State has one of the nation's lowest percentages of over 65 residents, and it ranks near the bottom in arts and entertainment establishments per capita based on a Bankrate analysis of census data. The rest of the top 5 are Florida. The Sunshine State has long been a haven for retirees. If you like a warm climate, Florida has the second hottest temperatures, right behind Hawaii. However, the high incidence of hurricanes and tornadoes hurts Florida's weather ranking. The state scores well on culture, number 15, and if you're looking for retirement age friends, you'll have a good chance of finding them in this state, where 21% of the population is 65 and older. That's the second largest share of 65 plus age folks of any state, census data show. And Florida finished so close to Georgia in our ranking that the results were nearly a draw. Number 3 is Tennessee. This state ranks number 1 in affordability thanks to the combination of below average living costs and a small burden from local and state taxes. Tennessee's weather also is near the head of the class. Its rankings in crime and wellness drag down its overall score. Number 4, Missouri. Fourth place Missouri is affordable and has a comparatively moderate climate. However, its culture, crime, and wellness scores are subpar. And number 5, Massachusetts. Nobody retires in the expensive Northeast, right? Massachusetts does rank poorly in affordability, placing 42nd overall. However, Massachusetts ranks number 1 in wellness, our second most important category. Now here's how to pick your best state to retire. Considering a retirement move, here's advice from experts who help retirees and soon-to-be retired workers through the decision. Laura Kovacs, Assistant Executive Officer and Director of Education at Scottsdale Area Association of Realtors in Arizona, says, spend some time in places where you want to live before you commit to moving there. Go to a variety of different places that you seem to be attracted to, places that have a lower cost of living and lower property taxes, and test them out for a while. If you're interested in Florida or Arizona or California, stay there for a while and see if you like the climate at the time of year you're going to be living there. Make sure it's really as affordable as you thought. While you're still working, take some time to go preview different types of communities and different types of lifestyles. And when you've retired, maybe try renting for a while before you commit to buying. Clark Kendall is president of Kendall Capital Management in Rockville, Maryland, and author of Middle Class Millionaire. He says family is the biggest consideration. When I see people retire and move to different parts of the country, 70 to 80% of the time, it's to be close to family. Access to medical care is another important factor. From a financial perspective, there are a lot of things to consider. How will your income be taxed? Some states offer tax breaks on retirement income. Maryland not only has an income tax, but we're also one of only 7 states that has an estate tax. Look at how you're going to spend your money too. Even though Texas and Florida have no income tax, they do have higher homeowner insurance costs because of hurricanes. It's hard to make a blanket statement. If you're making $100,000 in retirement income and moving to a $400,000 house, it's a different scenario than if you're making $1 million in income and moving to a $5 million house. And finally, Ginny Field, a real estate broker in Oceanside, California, who specializes in senior buyers and sellers and holds the National Association of Realtors Senior Real Estate Specialist designation, says sometimes people just want to get out of the snow. Other times, they want to be closer to family. When you're considering a community, you have to think about what you still want to do. Do you still want to be able to play golf, tennis, or pickleball? What's vitally important for people in that age group are medical care, access to shopping, and public transportation. I have one client who's 83 who didn't want to live in an active adult community because she had predetermined that it would be filled with old people. I showed her around one community and she fell in love with it. So here is how they constructed their ranking. Bankrate looked at a number of public and private data sets related to the life of a retiree. The study examined 5 categories: affordability, which they weighted 40%, wellness, which they weighted 20%, culture, which they weighted 15%, weather, which they also weighted 15%, and crime, which they gave a weight of 10% to. We calculated affordability using 2020 Cost of Living Index from the Council for Community and Economic Research and property and sales tax rates from the Tax Foundation's rankings for 2020 to 2021. For wellness rankings, they used the ShareCare Community Wellbeing Index, released in May 2021. The index measures a variety of factors, including access to health care, access to food, physical health, and economic security. Culture was calculated using the number of arts, entertainment, and recreation establishments per capita, restaurants per capita, and adults age 65 and older per capita from the U.S. Census Bureau. For weather scores, we relied on 3 decades of average daily temperatures data from the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration. We also used NOAA data for tornado strikes and hurricane landfalls and earthquake reports from the U.S. Geological Survey. We calculated crime using the rates of property crimes and violent crimes per 100,000 inhabitants for each state from the FBI's 2019 Crime in the United States report. So that's really interesting. That's a 2-year-old report, and crime may have changed quite a bit in some cities, so that's something to consider. But I wanted to read to you some of the very interesting statistics that they have on this chart of best states to retire. As I said, Georgia, Florida, Tennessee, Missouri, and Massachusetts were the top 5. The next 5 were Wyoming, Arizona, Ohio, Indiana, and Kentucky. That rounds out the top 10. 11th was North Carolina, then West Virginia, South Dakota, Wisconsin, and Utah was number 15. In 16th place was South Carolina, then Michigan, New Jersey, Oklahoma, and New Mexico. Tied for 20th was New York and Rhode Island. Delaware was 23, then Nebraska, Nevada was 25, Pennsylvania, Vermont, Texas was 28, New Hampshire, and Oregon rounded out the top 30. Virginia was number 31, North Dakota 32, Hawaii 33, Colorado 34, tied with Mississippi at 34, then Iowa, California at 37, Illinois at 38, tied with Louisiana at 38, Washington State at 40, Connecticut 41, tied with Idaho, Alabama at 43, Arkansas 44, tied with Maine, Alaska at 46, Montana at 47, Kansas at 48, Minnesota at 49, and Maryland was at the bottom, number 50. Again, this is because of an index using affordability, wellness, culture, weather, and crime. So if one of those things is more important to you, for example, maybe weather is super important to you. The number 1 state for weather is Arizona. The number 2 state for weather is Kentucky. The number 3 state for good weather is West Virginia. The 4th best state for weather, California. Then Georgia, Massachusetts, New Mexico, Hawaii, and Arkansas round out the top 10. If affordability is most important to you, then Tennessee is the most affordable state, followed by Oklahoma, Texas, Georgia, Missouri, Mississippi, Indiana, Alabama, South Carolina, and New Mexico. Now, one thing that they're not considering here is the family ranking. A lot of people want to live near their grandchildren or children, and so family takes precedence over anything else. But this is a really great chart to look at because of all the work they put into this, the rankings, how they've looked at everything. I think this is something everyone should take a look at when considering where it is you want to retire. So I will put a link to this in the show notes and on my website so you can take a look at it and really delve into where are the optimum places for you to live. And this isn't just for retirement. It could be for your current lifestyle if you're looking at moving somewhere. So this is a great resource for you that we really needed to add to our library of podcasts. I want to remind you we still have our Summer Sizzle Review Contest going, where I'm giving away 35 prizes for podcast reviews and book reviews. What can you win? 20 people will win my Wealthy Mindset audio sets, valued at $197, to help you get a wealthy mindset and remove those mindset blocks. 10 people will win my Wealth Heiress book, which is on the list of all-time best wealth books by Book Authority. I'll sign it and send it out to you. And 5 people will win a 30-minute one-on-one wealth mentoring session with me. All you need to do is leave a podcast review for Be Wealthy and Smart on Apple Podcasts. That will automatically get your name entered into the drawing. If you listen to podcasts somewhere else or you use an Android, just leave a review where you listen to podcasts, take a screenshot of it, email it to me at lpjhome@gmail.com, and I'll be sure to enter you into the drawing. Get it into me by September 19th so I can do the drawing and announce it on the September 20th podcast. Be sure to tune in that day to see if you've won. And right now, we have still more prizes than we have new reviews. So everybody right now who's left a review is scheduled to win something. So get your reviews done. If you've already done one, thank you so much. I appreciate and love hearing your feedback and hearing from you and what you're learning, how you're applying the podcast, and how it's impacted your life. It means so much. But you really don't have to do anything other than write a few words. Don't feel pressure to write some big long paragraph. You don't have to. A short review is fine, and that will get you entered into the drawing too. That's all for today. Until next time, live the good life and be wealthy and smart.
Thank you for listening to Be Wealthy and Smart with Linda P. Jones. Share the wealth and tell your family and friends about the show. Check out our website, blog, and social media for more riches at www.bewealthyandsmart.com.